Hey, hey guys, it's Andy, and I'm gonna show off my relatively pure Orcust deck. I won the Pixel Palace Games tournament once with this deck. It was pretty good. So yeah. So first off, with the main deck Orcust cards, I run 3 Harpor, 3 Symbol, 1 Bombard, 2 Nightmare, and 2 Stick. A lot of people who run this typically go lower on their on these two, but I like having a large amount of the Orca stuff because I'm running a relatively pure version, so they need the recurability. So yeah. For the starter cards, which is what most of this deck is, I run 1 Dark Grepher, 1 Nightmare Corruptor Ibly, 4 Mud Skipper, 3 Mathematician and a Rosinix, and then 3 Destrudo Fission. So the way this deck works is that all you need to do is put 2 monsters on board, and if you get 2 monsters on board, you can go into a Nightmare, and then you can go into a Nightmare Mermaid, and then you can get off your combo by summoning off Orcust Nightmare. So most of the deck is dedicated to getting a Nightmare onto the board. These ones you can use to get 2 monsters on board and then go into the Ibly, whereas these 2 you can just go straight for the Nightmare Mermaid. And as if, honestly, you can run either 3 Corruptor Ibly or 3 4 Mud Skipper. I run one of each. Really, they're just substitutes for each other, because they both get you to the Mermaid. This one is more disruptible because you can Ash it, but this one also hurts when you're playing against Salamangreat, so yeah, it's really your pick. As for hand traps, I run 3 Ash. I run 3 Peasant Ash. Because I have to run a lot of starter cards in this deck, so there isn't too much room for hand traps. So yeah, so I only run the 3 Ash because it's the best hand trap. Now I run 2. I run a Silent Boots and a Ancient Cloak for the Phantom Knight engine, because any deck that can get Azathoth on the field must get Azathoth onto the field. Kind of hoping for this engine to get banned so I can simplify my deck a bit more, because these are bricks. Drawing them. Now on to the spells. Got the Orcust spells, 2 Babel, 2 Orchestrated Return, and an Orchestrated Einsatz. This is the heart and soul of the deck. Unless you're going for the Azathoth Turbo, it's important to have this on the field because it makes all of your guys' quick effects, which lets you Topologic at most 3 times per turn. Orchestrated Turn's nice. It unbricks the brickiest of hands, because you just pitch a brick Orcust to the graveyard and draw 2 cards, so you'll probably draw into a starter. Saved my butt countless times. The only problem is you don't really want to draw 2 of them, so you only run 2 because you want to see it, but you don't want to see it too much. And then Orchestrated Einsatz, because if you're going for the if you draw into Babel, you need something to set with Galatea, and Orcust Einsatz is pretty good. Now for the power 1-ofs, we run Foolish, Reinforcement of the Army, and 1 for Run. For Foolish, you can either send a Destrudo or Crystron Rosinix with it, and it can help you get to the it'll help you get to your Nightmare plays. Reinforcing the army, unless you draw Dark Grepher, that's what you're searching off this card. You search nothing else unless you draw into the Dark Grepher. So yeah, and then 1 for 1. It's nice. You can use it to send a bricky monster from your hand to summon out a 4-month skipper, so that can get you to your mermaid. So yeah, further extenders. Then I run 3 Called by the Grave because this deck is pretty interruptible. And like the mermaid can get interrupted, summon source can get interrupted, all of the things that get you to the mermaid can get interrupted. So yeah, 3 Called by the Grave is a must for the deck. And then I have the Phantom Knight engine cards. Again, I kind of want this to get banned because I get to run other things. Most excitedly, the trap card that's coming out in the next set. But yeah, this card, these are just for that. Jade Brigandine can also get you out of a brick hand because you can use this to go into a Nightmare Mermaid. But yeah, you don't do that too often. They're used for the Azathoth combo. Now for the extra deck, I run, for the Orcust monsters, I run 2 Galatea, 2 Lungirsu, an Orchestron, and a Topologic Bomber Dragon. These guys are the main, these are the framework of the deck. You go into Mermaid to summon out Galatea, and then, depending on what you want to do, you can usually end on a Lungirsu and a Topologic if you don't want to go into Azathoth. Depending on the deck you're going against, Orchestron's also good. Like if you're going against a deck that doesn't mind, that can play through a few Topologics, Orchestron's typically the better option. But yeah, and Topologic is just an Orcust monster. I firmly believe that they designed this deck with that in mind. So yeah, so you got 2 win conditions for that. Now for the other stuff, I run 2 Nightmare Mermaid because sometimes you can go into it twice. Nightmare Cerberus and Nightmare Phoenix just to get into the mermaid. Summon Source, because you use this for your combo. Yeah, so these cards are good for that combo. Yeah, so these guys get you to start up your combo to either go into the Azathoth stuff or into the Orcust stuff, depending on which one you want to run. But yeah, so those get your combo started. Then for the Azathoth engine, you got to run the Rusty Bardiche, Azathoth, and Time Thief Redoer. I kind of want, I really hope they don't hit this one, and they hit this one or this one, because Time Thieves look really fun. But yeah, so you use Rusty Bardiche to get your Brigandine, and yeah, in the end you end up summoning this and use its effect to get no materials on it, and then you use rank up magic super launch to go into Azathoth on your opponent's turn to lock them out of their plays. It's a really broken engine. I'm almost certain it's going to get banned sometime soon, but I don't know. And then the last card in the extra deck is Cyber's Quantum Dragon, because sometimes you have enough stuff on board where you can go into this with Destrudo. It's a pretty good card. It can sometimes out things depending on your board state if you don't have anything else. It protects your Orca stuff from getting destroyed by battle. So it's pretty good. It's a nice card. Now for the side deck, run Artifact Lancia at 3 for the Thunder Dragon or Orcust mirror match. Triple Effect Veiler, because it just stops a ton of decks. Pankratops, because it is the best going second deck card ever. Mind Control, because you can just, like, stop your opponent. You can steal your opponent's monster and use that to go into Nightmare Mermaid if you have a bricked hand. It's also really good against Salamandrate, who don't really care about the hand traps. So, yeah, they can't use their destroy thing. They can't use their one of their counter traps if they don't have a Salamandrate monster on field. So you can use Mind Control to steal that from them. And then Twin Twisters, because this deck really struggles against back row. Unless you're going into Nightmare Phoenix turn 2, you're not really going to disrupt any spell and traps. So you run this, plus the discard can help you with graveyard setup. Yeah. So that is my relatively pure Orcust deck. Honestly, it's probably not as good as the Danger Orcust deck, but it's pretty good for a budget. I think it only costs like about $100 to make, so yeah, it's pretty good.
Thank you, Andrew.